This is Jupiter Today for the 6th of January 2015. Jupiter Today is a daily podcast focusing attention on the dynamic Jupiter system for the purpose of monitoring activity. The time of this recording is 2:37 UTC. At 0 hours UTC, the position of Jupiter on the celestial sphere is a right ascension of 9 hours, 35 minutes, 15.9 seconds, and a declination of positive 15 degrees, 16 minutes, 41.4 seconds. The angular separation between the Sun and Jupiter, as seen from Earth today, is 143.959 degrees, and that's 1.104 degrees greater than it was yesterday. The phase angle is 6.239 degrees, and that's 0.165 degrees less than what it was yesterday. The distance between Earth and Jupiter is 672,525,118 kilometers, and that's 1,390,643 kilometers less than what it was yesterday. And the relative velocity between Earth and Jupiter is 57,943.46 kilometers per hour, moving towards one another, mainly due to the motion of the Earth around the Sun. And that velocity is 1,506.37 kilometers per hour slower than it was yesterday. The central meridian at 0 hours UTC, CM1, 126.82 degrees, CM2, 24.16 degrees, CM3, 284.24 degrees. At 0 hours UTC, Io begins the day in quadrant 1, still heading east. Europa starts the day in quadrant 2, heading west. Ganymede spends most of the day in quadrant 3, heading west. And Callisto spends all day in quadrant 2, heading west, getting ever closer to Jupiter. There's the Earth point of view at 0 hours UTC. At 6 hours UTC, Io is now past its eastern elongation and is now in quadrant 2, heading west. And Europa is also in quadrant 2, heading west. Callisto is also in quadrant 2, heading west. 12 hours UTC, Io and Europa are close to beginning their transit of Jupiter. At 1800 hours UTC, Io is in quadrant 3, heading west, along with Europa. And Ganymede has now reached its maximum western elongation and is now in quadrant 4, heading east. And by 0 hours UTC tomorrow, you can see that Europa and Io continue to interact. They have a long interaction today and tomorrow. There are 8 Jupiter satellite events today. The first is at 11:52, when the shadow of Io ingresses. At 11:57, the shadow of Europa ingresses. At 12:35 UTC, Io begins its transit of Jupiter. At 13:32, Europa begins its transit of Jupiter. At 14:09 UTC, the shadow of Io egresses. At 14:52, the shadow of Europa egresses. Also at 14:52, the transit of Io ends. That might be an interesting observational event. And at 1620 UTC, the transit of Europa ends. So from 1332 to 1409 UTC, both Io and Europa and their shadows are all on the disk of Jupiter. Another great observational event was one satellite neutral event today. And as you might have guessed, it's Europa and Io interacting. In this case, the shadow of Io, shadow of Europa, eclipses Io. That happens from 12:27 to 22:39 today. That's a 12-minute event with an estimated magnitude flux drop of 0.176. And Io is a good distance from Jupiter to observe and measure this event at 103.92 arcseconds from Jupiter. Europa and Io are 14.46 arcseconds apart. 24 hours of Jupiter's sky. Imagine you're standing on the equator of Jupiter, just above the clouds, looking at the stars. This is what you would see over the next 24 hours. You can see the Ganymede's getting near its western elongation. Smaller moons of Jupiter going in and out of Jupiter's shadow. And we'll see Io and Europa passing between the Sun and Jupiter, and the Earth and Jupiter, giving us the shadows and transits today. The red spot crosses the meridian of Jupiter 3 times today, the first at 2:03 UTC, the second at 11:58, and the third at 21:54 UTC. There were no new images of data, but there was some new radio data taken on the 5th of January at the UT time shown. And there were no new papers. So please subscribe. Enjoy hearing your comments, and questions, and suggestions. If you'd like to see any images that you take of Jupiter, you can send all of these to the email shown. And until tomorrow, I bid you peace.